Lily, a white-collar worker, was a beautiful woman who was born into a wealthy family, yet still led a single life. She and the closest made a promise to each other that the two would get married to their fiancés at the age of 30. But that afternoon she received a call from a best friend as she was invited to her wedding. Her closest friend was Nana. As of now, the two had been friends for 20 years. Seeing Lily appeared by the door, Nana cheerfully waved at her. But as soon as the two met each other for a few seconds, Lily immediately upbraided her. She reminded her friend that the two had agreed to marry their fiancés at the age of 30, but Nana had broken her promise. Of course, Lily didn't look too serious when she said that her friend Nana, but it made Nana stammer for a few seconds before she could say anything to invite her to the wedding, which was supposed to be on this Sunday. Seeing the expression on Nana's face, Lily couldn't help but laugh. She told a friend that she would definitely show up, more than anyone. Lily was the one that was most delighted to find out her friend had finally found her Mr. Right. The two ended their convo. Since the moment Lily was in the cafe until she left, Lily constantly reminded herself that she had to be at the wedding at all cost. It looked like she was really excited to be part of this special occasion. Eventually, the wedding ceremony had arrived. Lily took the earliest bus to the house of her friend's fiancé with joyfulness mixed with a bit of jitters. Waiting for Lily at the bus station was a boy who was around 16 or 17 years old. It looked like he was someone from the groom's family. But on the special occasion, the boy was supposed to be happy, yet he somehow looked moodily. On the way to the destination, the two didn't say anything to each other. There were times she wanted to break the ice, but the cold look on his face made her speechless. The two remained quiet for another 10 minutes. Feeling unbearable to put up with the oppressive silence, Lily plucked up her courage to ask the young man some questions about the wedding. But he merely responded to her in an abrasive manner. However, the boy's attitude wasn't the only thing that made her feel strange. Contrary to the bustling, noisy atmosphere that was commonly seen at a wedding, the house was deserted. There were no fireworks. Even the palanquin was nowhere to be seen. Lily was accompanied by the boy to the house. At this moment, the groom's parents had been waiting inside. Seeing Lily showing up by the door, the two came out to greet her. They graciously asked her if she had felt tiredness on the way. As they were talking to each other happily, Lily suddenly saw a white flower on the mother's chest. As soon as she asked them about the flower, the two's faces quickly changed color. Usually one would have a white flower on them when they were at a funeral, and a red flower when they were at a wedding, so Lily sensed something odd going around. But instead of replying to a question, the woman spoke in a prudent manner. She didn't want to answer, as she told her there was a long story behind it, and Lily would find out about it later. As soon as the woman finished the sentence, the butler came in. He told everyone to get to the next door in order to get in time for the wedding rituals. The woman asked Lily to go to the next door with her and participate in the wedding ceremony. She followed the three of them to the place. But Lily couldn't help but be suspicious. Instead of being decorated with a prominently red color, the room had a gloomy atmosphere. Moreover, in front of her eyes now was a rectangular object that was wrapped with white towels, looking pretty dreadful. As everyone had gathered at the place, the butler pulled away the towels. Lily's face became darkened as she saw the scene before her eyes. She must have been truly shocked. It turned out, the thing which drew her attention was a big coffin laying neatly in the middle of the room. She remembered being invited to the wedding of her closest friend. How it had turned into a funeral. In the coffin were Nana and her fiancé. Nana looked nothing like a dead person, but the man lying next to her, his face had turned pale and colorless. He looked like he had already died. A wedding that was filled with great sorrow. A wedding where the attendances didn't know whether to smile or cry. A wedding so tragic that made anyone present stagger. After a few minutes of bewilderment, Lily finally regained her composure. She couldn't believe her eyes. But right that moment when Lily was in an immense pain, Nana suddenly opened her eyes, which scared Lily stiff. She was terrified, unconsciously stepped backwards. It was until she heard Nana calling her name that she dared to turn around. After a couple of minutes, Lily finally calmed down and suddenly became furious despite being scared just a few moments ago. But the reason of Lily being angry was because she was worried about Nana. Even though she upbraided Nana for scaring her, it was more of an unconditional love she had for Nana that was contained in her words. Having no choice left, Nana had to wait until Lily subsided her anger, then she would dare to explain everything to her. The incident took place just yesterday as Nana and her fiancé were on their way home, after leaving their relative's house. As the two were talking to each other, a truck rushed towards them from behind. It was already too late when the two found out about it. Nana's fiancé pushed her out of the way with great force, while he was still unable to escape the truck running him over. Nana had no idea what was about to happen next. She looked to her husband's direction. The truck now got so close to him, there wasn't any chance for the man to escape, even if he was a god or a man with superpowers. Nana let out a scream as she saw a beloved husband being on the verge of his death. She still had very vivid memories of that tragic moment as her husband reached out to her before he died. His eyes were filled with pure love, regret, and sadness. It was a scene that she would never forget. It was even more tragic as she had to witness the death of her fiancé. The truck ran to him like a mad bull and hit him immediately. Blood splashed everywhere. Lily felt great pain in her heart as she listened to her friend. She didn't expect that her friend would have such a tragic fate. As Nana told her friend everything, she couldn't hold back her tears. Even though her fiancé had died, she still wanted to conduct a wedding ceremony with him and become his wife. That night, the wedding ceremony was conducted in the presence of Lily and both the bride and groom's family members. Nana laid in the coffin. She grabbed her fiancé's arms firmly while fondly gazing at him. Her eyes were filled with pure happiness mixed with a bit of sorrow. She was happy because she had at last become his wife, but it could never fill the aching void in her heart. As the wedding ceremony had come to an end, Lily had to leave even though she didn't want to. Nana accompanied her to the door. Tears kept rolling down her face. But instead of wearing a sad expression on her face, Lily tried to put on a smile and encourage her best friend. Their love had touched Lily's heart. It was such an ultimate sacrifice. A genuine love story between a ghost and a human might sound pretty illogical, but it did happen in real life. And despite it being a bit terrifying to hear, their true love still touched the hearts of many.